previously on Gears.
Clark Gary Formato is here. Of course, this weekend, Gary, the USA Grand Prix return after, 5 years?
Yeah, it is 5 years exactly, yeah.
2007.
Yeah, to Austin, Texas from Indy.
Yeah. Now, amazing thing about there is just such a buzz about this, and it's not just, a lot of hype. It seems to be genuine from the Americans.
Well, it seems so. Look, America's a huge place, and the population's so huge. And yes, NASCAR is big there and all the rest of it, but you still have a massive Formula One following. It may not be as big as some of the countries in Europe and what have you, but there's a huge following there. And I think Formula One the last while has been very exciting. We've had some great races, and it's kind of what they need. I mean, we know how it works with NASCAR and the other racing, and sometimes they make a good race happen, even if the race is not happening for themselves. And the way Formula One is right now, I think it's going to put on a good show for them. And I think Texas is the right place. It's a good right place for them to be.
I couldn't agree more. Now, also the amazing thing is, and when you look at it country by country, if you have a person from your own country involved in Formula One specifically, regardless of whether or not you have a home Grand Prix, it's amazing how, if it's something in the vicinity, it can really attract people. And all of a sudden, we've got, apparently, from what we've heard, there's a huge amount of people from Mexico, Venezuela, Brazil, coming through to Austin for this Grand Prix.
Well, that is the big thing. I mean, it is called Circuit of the Americas. And, we've had some great drivers from all the South American countries, and that's why the Formula One is big there. So, as we said, Texas being the right place, it's reasonably close, if you can call it close in that huge, that vast space. But, you will get a lot of support, from those countries. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic weekend. I think the big thing is now, is the track going to live up to expectation?
Yes.
The track, there's a lot of hype about that. So, I think it's going to be a good one. I must say, I'm more excited to certainly be here than perhaps a country like India and some of the other countries where the motorsport sort of culture needs to be developed.
I couldn't agree more. The motorsport in America is a huge, huge thing, and as Gary said, it still has a massive following in Formula One as well. Let's talk about the circuit. Just a little bit of background, perhaps, if you don't know too much about Formula One circuits. You've got traditional circuits that have been around for 50, 60 years already. And then in 1999, a guy by the name of Herman Tilke put up his first ever track, and that was Malaysia. And from there, he's gone on and designed all of the Formula One tracks, the new Formula One tracks that have come onto the calendar. Some of them have produced some extraordinary racing. Some of them have been a little bit suspect. But this one, in the Circuit of the Americas, from what we've seen, Gary, looks spectacular.
It looks unreal, and you can never get the real picture from pictures that you see, and even on TV. The undulations that circuit has, you don't experience on the television set. But for example, going up to turn one, you can see it's almost like looking at Eau Rouge, blind apex there, everybody talking about a lot of action happening there, lots of fast corners on the track, a couple of over 250 kilometre an hour corners that you have on the circuit, and then a couple of slow ones, which, I mean, you could have left out in my opinion. But, it should make for some good racing. Let's hope it is the case. And I think, everybody that's driven around it, the drivers that have been around, in the build-up to the Grand Prix, have all said this looks like something special. So let's hope it is that.
They've come out and said it looks very challenging, and they do a lot of simulation work. But the real test will be 5 o'clock South African time this afternoon. First wheels on there. It's going to be pretty slippery. You got to believe. And hopefully as the weekend progresses, it will get better and better. But this is a massive challenge for all of the drivers, all of the teams, the engineers, as well as tyres.
It certainly is, and as you said, simulations, you can do as many as you like. At the end of the day, whatever happens on the track, the weather, all those things come together, and it may produce something better. We've seen many times teams go to circuits, simulation time is X, and they actually smash the time right out of the ballpark. So, we'll have to wait and see. As you said, the track is going to be slippery, and probably the first session, the drivers are not going to get to grips with it, not find the little nitty-gritties and where to go, where to drive, where to find all the grip. The second session this evening, I think, when you'll see everybody really pushing hard and getting the most out of it, and I think we'll, then it gets exciting.
Yeah, I think also what's also very proactive and innovative from Formula One and Pirelli as well. They've given each of the teams an extra set of the harder compound tyres, which means at least we should see quite a lot of running in these two sessions.
It should mean, exactly. On the harder tyre, go out there, just learn the track, really. which is great from Pirelli. Just on that note as well, I just hope that they haven't been too conservative this weekend. With their tyre choice. Pirelli, I think, have always got the key to a good or bad Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But we don't know. We've just got to see how this one pans out.
Couple of things off the circuit as well, Gary. HRT seemed to be in a huge amount of trouble, looking for a buy before December the 5th. Otherwise, they close doors, from what we can read.
Well, no surprise. I've got to say the car hasn't had a sponsor on it, since its inception, since it joined the Formula One field. The pace this year it has improved. De La Rosa's done some good work in that car. To get it ahead of the Virgins on occasion, the Marussia, should I say? Sorry, but. You've got. It's not in the days where you had manufacturers claiming to get into Formula One. It's not like that anymore. So to find a buyer right now in this kind of climate is going to be extremely tough. So, we always thought that one of them would fall by the wayside. It just may be HRT.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually surprised they lasted so long. But it is very, very sad. $40 million, if you got it, you can buy the team. I don't know what other debt may be around it. And then also running it could be a little bit expensive as well. This weekend, there's so much to play for between Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel. Red Bull versus Ferrari. From the simulations, I read that Felipe Massa came out, said the track's more like India or Korea, so it should suit the Red Bulls a little bit better. But as you say, from simulation, you can't really tell that much.
You can't tell, but you just got to look at the fast corners, and you've got to understand that Red Bull's got the superior downforce package on it. It can run with high downforce, low downforce. The car's quick. It would suggest that that it is a Red Bull circuit. However, there are other things that come into play. As I said, we go back to the tyres again. Are the tyres going to be the right tyres for the weekend? Are we going to see mega degradation? Is it just going to be a thing of Fernando Alonso getting out there, learning the track better than anybody else? All those things that are going to come into play. Fernando Alonso is very relaxed at the moment. He said, look, he's calm as he can be. He's been down this road before, been in championship battles. He's going to just do what he can do, and come what may, at the end of the day.
Yeah. Red Bull, let's talk a little bit about Red Bull, the little rubber nose that they've got now, bending nose, Gary, that... we've seen pictures of it or whatever, but it seems to be nothing wrong with it.
Well, it passes the tests,
yes.
And the FIA has made the tests more stringent, and particularly at the end of last year. And the thing is, now people are starting to understand what it is that Red Bull have. So next year you'll see everybody else with the same system on their cars, and may find some of the pace that Red Bull has and the advantage they have over them.
Yeah, that's quite extraordinary stuff that's going on there. Sebastian Vettel. A terrific ride in Abu Dhabi. One could say a little bit lucky, but he rode his luck. He did pass when he had to pass a couple of safety car incidents that did assist him to get up to third. But meteoric for him to stay in there and just drop his lead only by 2 points.
Yeah, it was a great weekend. Look, so like any sport, you need a bit of luck. Things have got to go your way. In racing, the safety cars and what happened in that race worked out for him. So, he got the car to the end. That was the biggest thing. He did have a couple of really, really close calls. Knocked the front wing off, as you say, and that was tough. But it worked out. So, look, for the championship point of view, I would like to have seen Fernando possibly pull a bigger gap on Sebastian at the last race. But anyway, it wasn't to be. And listen, it's still going to be a great Grand Prix.
Yeah, I definitely think it will be. Kimi Räikkönen, got to talk about him. Superb drive, great win in Abu Dhabi, and incredibly brilliant for his brand. All of a sudden, his brand is now I think people have always loved Kimi, but now he made these shirts for his the whole crew. Leave me alone, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And there's Kimi fever, I think, around as well.
Yeah, there certainly is. And what I love about it, Kimi, for the first time I think in his career, has just allowed to be Kimi. Where he walks away and has a cigarette and do whatever he does, around the back of the pits there. Nobody's hammering him on it anymore. And I think he's performing very well. I think his comeback has been absolutely outstanding. He's won a Grand Prix in his comeback year. He's been out of the sport for 2 years, and I think bigger than ever, actually. So, the brand is huge. Kimi's going from strength to strength, and that car is going to get better as well. Trying a new exhaust system this weekend on the car, that new Coanda exhaust system that will hopefully eliminate some of the speed that they've lost with the exhaust. So that car could actually be quite good.
It should be pretty good. Lewis Hamilton and the McLaren team together with Jenson Button. He wants to go out in a high, Gary, regardless of what's going out in the press, and Whitmarsh coming out saying, he must be regretting his move. He was desperately unlucky in Abu Dhabi. He had that race sewn up. And he's just got to hope that McLaren give him a decent car and, he can finish off at high.
No, they will give him a decent car. I think, you've got to, like you say, put some of the press aside, not read too much into it. McLaren want to win Grand Prix. Doesn't matter what driver is going to win the races. There's not a situation, I don't believe, in Formula One where they say, well, Jensen's our guy, we're only going to look after him. It's not going to happen. you don't want to throw away Formula One wins. There's far too much money invested into the game. And when you can win a race, you're going to win a race. And if Lewis is the guy that's going to win the race for them on the weekend, they're going to give everything to him. So, I think he's going to be critical in this championship fight. He's probably the only one that's going to be able to take any points from Sebastian Vettel on outright pace.
Yeah. For the rest of them, I think, we just got to wait for the first free practice. We actually don't know. Who knows? Williams all of a sudden could have a car that could be good this weekend, so could Sauber, but it could be the reverse, and it could just be a Red Bull kind of track and completely dominant. But let's hope that it doesn't really go that way.
No, for sure. We're going to hope so. But I think what you've got to look out for is the top drivers learning the track quicker than anybody else. And, you've got to put Michael Schumacher into that category as well. Maybe he can do something with the Mercedes-Benz, which is not a good car. Maybe the track works for him this weekend. But look out for the top guys, the Hamiltons, the Vettels, the Alonso. They're going to get onto the job pretty quickly and start working on setups, and that's probably going to give them the edge over the weekend.
Yeah, they are. Weather predictions for the weekend: cold, but not no rain as well. So this is going to be critical if it is pretty cold, Gary, especially when it comes to those tyres.
It certainly is. It may suit some teams better than others. It may suit Red Bull less or more, whatever it is. But again, it comes back to the whole package. The tyre compound that you're using in the conditions. We've seen Ferrari on occasion battling to get heat into certain of the Pirelli compounds. So yes, they're going to have to obviously work with that, but the weather is what it is. Again, I sound like a stuck record, but just harping on the fact, I just hope Pirelli have not been too conservative with the compounds.
Yeah, well, I tell you, 5 o'clock this afternoon cannot come soon enough. That's for sure. We're going to have all of the action live on Supersport. Then from 7:30 we're going to be on, go through highlights of practice 1, and then straight into live free practice 2. At least the early mornings are over.
Well, this is it. Now we've just got some late nights, which we're kind of used to anyway, so it should be fine for us.
We can't go and have a lunch with wine, though. That's a bit of a problem. Gary, I look forward to it. I'm very, very excited for this. By the way, we had Lois on the radio yesterday.
She was lovely.
Southern accent from Atlanta, Georgia. Big Formula One fan.
She got a Formula One.
Yeah, she was awesome.
Yeah.
She was just awesome. But also saying there seems to be a really good buzz about it. 120,000 logistical nightmare. It seems 1 road in, 1 road out. They didn't really think about that too cleverly, but that's the Americans' kind of problem. So let's just hope everyone gets there and has a brilliant time. There we go. Gary Formato talking to us about Formula One, the circuit of the Americas.
At the next intersection, turn on
Gears with Sasha Martinengo.
weekdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Central African Time.